Hello and welcome to episode 26 of the Kicking Back podcast. Today I'm joined with the wonderful Yemi Bolatiwa. Hi Yemi.
Hi.
How are you doing? You alright?
I'm all right. Yeah, good actually. Lovely day.
Yeah, you had a good day?
Have had a good day, yeah. Busy doing work and great creative stuff, but yeah, no.
Nice.
Good day so far.
Nice. And hello Matthew.
Hello, Bradley.
You okay?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. How's your day been?
Good. Every Wednesday's my day off, so I play some frisbee in the park for a while with my friends. Play some piano. You know?
Yeah, I think the people at home think you're like a right dosser now.
Know,
this guy just doesn't do fucking anything.
I do work hard sometimes, just never on Wednesdays.
Yeah, man.
I had a good day anyway.
Yeah, frisbee in the park.
Yeah, beautiful, man.
Sounds delightful, man. Sounds awesome. Yeah. So, for the people at home, Yemi, that don't know who you are and what you do.
That's everyone.
Yes, probably. Do you want to give them give them a little spiel. Tell them what you do, Yemi. What's your thing?
All right. So I'm a singer, I guess. I like, not that it's that important, but I guess, I'm not a traditional singer. I definitely came from more of a self-taught DIY, found myself in music kind of background.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's definitely taken me a long time to get here. I think I've been singing for 10 years now, I think, since I first got on stage to like a public adult audience when I was 21. And now I can officially call myself a singer, so yay! I also do songwriting. I also have like another hat where I do children's workshops. I work as a community engagement officer at a place called Art in Manchester. They're also a charity. It's all about creative arts and community and all the lovely things.
Yeah.
And not that it's not hard work, but it's great work. And yeah, I guess, I'm a bit of I love getting out and being sociable, and I'm definitely a hyper extrovert. So, see if you can stop me talking and waffling on today. But, and yeah, I've just kind of got to, I guess, lockdown's happened, but I've got to the point where I'm doing quite a lot of work in music, from vocal work and top line work for house producers and various things, dance music kind of things, to like actual like commissions and artsy stuff. So nice. I've got my fingers in all the pies I could possibly ever think.
Yeah, busy.
Yeah.
So I guess you came to the music thing quite late on then, 21.
I guess it is late when I think about some of my friends, my peers and colleagues, and they're like 24 and 25. I'm like, oh God. and I'm like starting to become the auntie of the circle or whatever. But yeah, it was late because that's not what I wanted to do. I wasn't going to be a musician. Yeah. I went and studied marketing at MMU. Hold tight, MMU alumni. Then I also went and did a master's at University of Manchester. So I've been on both sides of the tracks. If there's anyone out there who's like, oh, boo. We're not in uni anymore, are we? No one cares about that. But so I originally came to Manchester from the south, and I studied international consumer marketing, and then I realised marketing wasn't for me. But I did work in the industry. I worked in advertising agencies for a few years. Took a bit of a time out to do a master's, and during doing the master's in anthropology, which is the best thing I've ever done. It was like social anthropology, like the study of human behaviour, cultural studies. I don't know, just the study of like how humans work and sociality and everything like that. And it just changed my whole worldview. But during that time, I ended up meeting some people in the Withington music circles, like Indigo and things like that. And that opened me up to like jam nights and stuff. So like I'd done a couple of things a couple of years before, but it was all down south. I'd done like links with people in London and Bristol, drum and bass producers, reggae producers. But it wasn't until like that kind of 2013 when I moved to Withington and got a new like social circle, that I actually got into the live music scene in Manchester. So yeah, it's still eight years I think since I had my first Manchester gig.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what was there a particular thing that was there like a particular moment or something that was like, actually, I think I want to give this music thing a go?
Yeah, well, like as soon as I did it, as soon as the opportunity got open to me, so like I didn't plan to be in music, but as soon as like someone put it in front of me, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it just wasn't something that I thought was ever going to be a path. I didn't know how you made money in music apart from being famous. So it was either don't do it or you get famous. Do you know what I mean? I didn't realise there was all these other avenues and income streams and ways to be successful without having to sell your soul or whatever. So there was definitely a point, like after about 3 years with Pareidolia, so that was the band that I met when I moved to Withington when I was doing my masters, and we formed together like in a very short time, and we jammed and we were really good friends, and it was like a band formed out of friendship that became, it was like a side hobby thing that actually became something that took us to festivals, and we did recordings, and we had some really great opportunities, some great support slots, and over those 3-4 years I developed as a singer. Became a better songwriter. Like I've always written songs. I've started writing songs when I was like 6 years old, but it was never like a pathway. It was just something that I used to do in my room and no one ever heard. Do you know what I mean? But now I'm digressing. What was I talking about? Okay, so there was a moment of 3-4 years into singing with Pareidolia. Actually, so Sophie B booked us to come and play at Albert Schloss in 2016, and I was like, so like real random, because like Pareidolia, we were like a drum and bass soul fusion and reggae band, and they were like, Schloss, what are we doing there? But we had an amazing time. Obviously, it went down really well, and then Schloss was Sophie was like, come and sing for Schloss, like as a singer. I was like, what do you mean? And then she was like, this is the fee, this is the thing. I was like, that's the fee. I was like, to sing other people's songs, and I didn't really know that there was like money in the covers function scene, and like I guess there's a dilemma there for a lot of people who think like, oh, but you're just singing other people's songs, but. Actually, it made me a much better singer. It made me have to learn things I didn't know before. It made me have to do things that I wouldn't have usually done, and it completely stretched my capacity and versatility as a vocalist to this day. Like, there's a lot to be said. But I'm not saying everyone needs to go into covers and function, but I think I used to think, oh, that's not the avenue for me. And actually, it made me what I am now, I think. And like, if you think about it, like, you know, it's about what you do with it, how creative you are with it. And I think a lot of DJs they don't play their own music. They play other people's music. So as long as they're creative about the way they DJ and their selection, all that kind of stuff, you take ownership of it, and then it becomes your own. So I feel like that stage, that was in 2016, when Schloss gave me the opportunity, is when it was like, okay, I can make money out of this. Yeah. Totally. Boom, let's do it. Let's give it a go.
Nice.
Yeah, awesome. I think with that thing, like, I had the same thing as you, like, oh, just doing other people's music. What's that gonna be like when I start doing it? But you can always focus on just making it sound fresh to put yourself, can't you? And you can always like listen. It's gonna be with other musicians as well. Like a lot of the time, it's not gonna be the same band. So if you all make sure you're feeling it and you're trying to be like keep each other going, and you know, you can make it whatever you want to at that point, can't you?
Mate, it's fun, isn't it? Like totally. it can be fun because actually you sing a lot. Sometimes you sing songs you don't like, and then sometimes you sing songs that are like absolute classics. You're like, God, I know this song now, which is sick.
Yeah, exactly. I think singers have the hardest job doing the songs that you don't like, because you guys kind of have to. Well, everyone has to sell it, but singers especially have to sell it, don't you?
Man.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. There was definitely some moments when I was singing, and I had to sing a lot more pop. That I wasn't listening to Radio 1 at all. There's a time where, like, in my life, I was just trying to be, you know, very underground, alternative, jazz, soul, and whatever. So people would be like, put a song on a set list, and I'd be like, what is that? And they're like, it's number 1 at the moment. And you're like, what? But it's good to know both sides of the coin, you know. It doesn't mean you have to support it or, like, you know, rally for it or anything. But it is good to see it all, be part of it as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to touch on. So you started writing from quite a young age, you said from 6. Did you have like a sort of musical background? Like, was your family musical or anything like that, or is it something you just picked up on your own?
Like, not really at all that I know of. Like, since I've grown up and I've been an adult, my mum or dad have hinted to like, oh, your cousin from so and so is based in South Africa and they do music. It's like, it's not direct immediate family, to be honest. My family are a long line of social care workers, nurses, and actually politicians. There's a few people in my family. So like, then none of them are in arts or anything creative or performative. And I guess in a traditional way, a lot of African families weren't one to be pushing you. But to be fair, they did like I did like dancing a little bit when I was a kid, and like, you know, they used to support me with that. So I think they saw that I was a performative kid, but it was never really going to be a pathway. You know, they didn't come all the way then become immigrants to England to get me to just follow my dream. Do you know what I mean? They came here to make sure that we could like progress as a family and improve our lifestyle. So it was just, originally wasn't the plan, but always from the age of 2, like I remember singing Sound of Music, like just, I don't know, I just always sang. And I wrote songs from about 6 till I probably stopped writing songs when I was like 14, 15,
right?
Then completely put my pen down until I was like 20, 21. And I don't know, I think everything that I wrote was always just a regurgitation of things that I listened to. So it was always basically pop and R&B music, like recycled and put into my own words. But melody has always been a thing that like I've never had issues with. Like melody and tuning, like I've just always had innately, I guess. But that doesn't mean that that's where it stops, because obviously you develop and get better. And I've recently been, just to jump ahead to recent times, like doing some stuff with Untold Orchestra, like and singing like jazz and learning Ella Fitzgerald stuff, and really appreciating like how different like the way you sing and like the notation in the jazz song progression is compared to like a pop or R&B melody, and like the jumps you have to make within the phrases are just like so challenging, and I just found it so hard. But to actually learn it was a massive great thing for me, and that's, you know, a very humbling moment to be like, you can be musical, but you don't know it all until you give it all a go, you know.
The journey never stops. Just I love that. That's so interesting when you realise that, and like no one's going to tell you to stop either, so you can just keep on going endlessly.
Exactly. The journey never stops, for sure.
Yeah, totally. So you were 6 years old. Was that in your room with a notepad writing lyrics kind of thing? Like,
yeah. I remember the very first song I wrote. I'm not going to sing it because that's just too much, but it was called Flowers, and the first line was, "Flowers don't mean anything to me because when you pick me up, I put you down." And that was the first time that I think I used like I'm a massive sucker. Like I feel like the world's 50-50. You either love memes and puns or you fucking hate them. Like, but I think from day one, like I tried to had a play on words. I remember thinking like, "Cause you pick up flowers and you pick me up and you can't pick me up with flowers." And I remember having this whole like, and ever since then, like it was just like I don't know what it was supposed to be, but I loved it. I just absolutely loved it, and it just everything made sense when I wrote it in a melody. Do you know what I mean? I'm not actually a creative writer. I wouldn't say I'm like a poet or a story writer, but I'm definitely like a lyric-y writer. Yeah, I'd say.
It's interesting you saying that you stopped writing at like 14, 15. I feel like that's like when a lot of people start writing. Was there a particular thing that like you just weren't interested in doing the music stuff for a while, or?
Yeah, the focus just went completely. I was what was I doing at that point? I was doing dancing, like street dancing. So I did street dancing for like 4 or 5 years between the age of 13 and 17. So that took precedent in terms of like performative arts. And I don't know, I wasn't, I think it probably just felt silly making up words in my room and singing them to myself then. Whereas it didn't feel as silly when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What about you? Did you start writing?
Yeah, I think I started like 13, 14.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I initially started in my parents made me go to a brass band, so I was like a tuba player for like.
You played tuba?
Yeah. I played for like 10 years or something. I was pretty good, man.
I can believe that, man.
I was pretty good. I kind of want to pick one up again just to see if it's. I can't remember it all. It's all there.
No
it's just
way.
Get a tuba.
Well, that's so rare. There's no tuba players out here.
I know. It's just really random. And obviously I was like really small. So like the instrument was bigger than me, and
that is insane.
And I remember having to do like these, because obviously they do all the marching and stuff like that, and like me being this wee little lad, like carrying this thing. I remember doing some marches that are like an hour or two long, and at the end of it, like I'd take it off, I'd just start bawling my eyes out because it was so like heavy and just like there's just got this massive leather strap thing.
Your
holding it
parents
up.
were happy for you to have that. That sounds like child abuse.
Yeah, you hear that, Mum? You hear that?
Yeah, she watches every episode.
No, I mean it's actually a really unique thing that you could have carried forward.
Yeah,
But,
it was good, but yeah, so that's how it sort of started. I played a bit of violin in school as well, and then my brother bought a guitar, and I just used to just like nick it off him basically, and just like, and then I started writing when I was like a teenager, I think.
So it was having the instrument. Did you write without an instrument?
No, not really. I think I'd always like been a big music person, and then but I'd never thought about writing until I could like started understanding the harmony a little bit, and just be like, oh, that's what makes a song.
Yeah,
Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. I've never ever written with an instrument
Right. Okay.
because I don't play any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played piano for a year. I was actually quite good at it from the age of about 11 to 12, but I unfortunately had to stop. So I've just never used the instrument as my reference point. It's always just been there.
Yeah.
So I guess like I probably would have been a lot further ahead had piano continued. But hey, shoulda, woulda.
No, you're just more specialised now.
In my own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
In my
There's nothing
own.
wrong with that. So have you got like the phone filled with voice recordings in that case?
Yeah.
Classic.
As soon as I get a
Classic.
melody, I'm like,
I guess that's the only way you can do it though. Like,
it literally, that's what it
if you
comes from.
don't have any like piano thing, just to lay something down. Or whatever.
And then I basically go to rehearsal. I'm like, hey, band.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
had this thing in my head, and I don't know what key it's in, but
It works though.
Yeah.
yeah, in the end,
Yeah.
there's definitely some sense there. But you know what? Like, I don't like to talk about songwriting as if I'm a pro or as if I'm a specialist, because I feel like I'm actually really skilled at being a fairly predictable, almost catchy songwriter. But I'm not like, I wish, this is where the kind of instrument thing does come in, because I think you can be more creative when you know where the possibilities are. And I feel like there's a really good, like Napalm's a really good example of that from Hiatus Coyote.
Oh, right,
you can tell that she writes with her guitar.
Yeah.
You can tell that, I'm sure she talks about it, that the riffs come out of the riffs that she plays, and there's so many more interesting things, patterns that she makes. So
Yeah.
I am limited by my own knowledge if you only write from your head.
I mean, I think it's the way you look at it as well. Because if you think about it, like people who are like musicians, they've studied for years, they know all that stuff. A lot of the time, and I know I got into the habit of like overcomplicating songs to the point where it's just like kind of lessens what it's meant to be. And like there is 100% like a value in something to writing a 3-minute long catchy tune which is like entertaining the whole way through. Like condensing that down to 3 minutes is harder than people realize, Like the amount of songs I wrote when I was a teenager which were like 10-15 minute long epics.
Really?
And yeah, I was a prog dude, man.
Of course.
Makes sense.
But yeah, they had like 30 seconds of really good stuff, and then the rest was just garbage.
Just waffle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
So,
happens, man.
Fair enough. It's good to get all perspectives. There's never a right or wrong.
Yeah.
Is there?
I think, you also like, I always think like your limitations are also your like most creative points, if you know what I mean, because you work with the limitation to
Yeah, totally.
like I definitely found like the more, like George was saying, the more stuff that you know and all that, it almost seems like endless. It's like, where do I begin?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like it's going on for that long. Like I definitely felt that like going to music college, my creativity just like sort of disappeared.
Yeah.
Because you do you know what I mean?
I know
You
exactly what you mean. Yeah, I think the next thing, if you go down that rabbit hole of wanting to learn it all, then you have to try and like get it to the back of your mind somehow. So just so you can have a bit of like a one track kind of focus, and then I mean at that point you're pretty much a genius, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? if you know like everything you could do and you still manage to get like just 3 minutes of like a perfect tune, then it's like I wish I could do that one day.
I feel like I feel like there's actually an element of like, my writing style is definitely representative of where I am in my life, and maybe that's your parameters, and that's what you work within. And the kind of songs I write are definitely always directly related to where I am in my life. And whether that, I don't know if that's a nothing thing to say. I feel like that's like, goes without saying. But there is something there in that the songs that I've recently written, I wouldn't have written 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like life experience comes into that as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To an
And
extent.
that's really cool for you as well, because then you can like document your life as well. So
I feel
when,
like
when you look back, it's like, I was feeling that.
no, that is how I feel. Like, actually,
totally.
yeah. And when the band started, so like 3 years ago, and we all came together, I actually like a lot of the beginning songs that we started using were from like when I was 21, 22, started writing again.
Totally.
And they were basically like, I don't know, me kind of reflecting on where I came from to now. And then once I got my confidence again, I started writing new songs, because I didn't think I wrote anything new. I just took all old and upcycled it. I was going to say upcycled it. I don't know, rejuvenated it, or just brought it to life, as I like to say.
Totally.
Yeah, that's cool. So, was there any particular like music in your? I'm always interested in people's like parents' music they listen to, and was there any of that you picked up on that you sort of took with you, and like where did you start your own? When did you start picking out your own thing and forming your own music taste, I guess?
Yeah, my music taste was 100% influenced and taken from my mum, my aunties, my uncles, all around me. Everything that, in the 90s. So I'm dominant. I'm mostly influenced by, not necessarily inspired by, but influenced by 80s, 90s R&B and soul music. And there was a point where I wanted to get away from that. I was like, oh, that's just too stereotypical. Now I'm like really, really embracing that and actually trying to write more like 90s, maybe noughties R&B style, because I feel like there's a place for it, and it's a special time in music, and it's a style of singing that, even though I'm not an R&B, I like to think I'm not really an R&B singer. I'm more of a soul singer, because R&B singers do a lot more running and riffing than I can, and that's fine. I'm like, you can take that. Like, I'll do the odd little one every now and again, but I'm not like a big R&B girl. So I feel like 80s and 90s soul, everything from like Lionel Richie to Toni Braxton, Brandy, Mary J. Blige. Just everything, I don't know, everything in that era that was soulful, I probably have heard once, and was all given to me by my parents and my aunts and uncles. So I can't deny that at all.
Cool.
Yeah.
What about like Ella Fitzgerald and those sort of singers? Was that like later on? Because obviously you've had to revisit that stuff.
Yeah, so actually like the classics and the people who sing the standards, I've only really learned. And I've always known their legacies, and probably like through growing up watching documentaries about music and stuff, their names come up. But my familiarity with the music, which is probably something that comes from having not studied music, is only in the last 10 years of my own accord, like of my own, listening to it and choosing. Definitely wasn't in any of my early memories. Nah. Did you know jazz? Are you like
not really. Like, I think for my parents, like my dad loved like Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that, which is really cool. So I remember there was like a week where he was playing to me all the time. I was like, I hate it, and then like a week later, I was like, I love it. So obviously,
just like, hammering it home. You will like this.
And then just like Pink Floyd and like even like Jethro Tull and stuff, all the way through to like Rihanna, and like he's like unashamedly loves everything. Lady Gaga.
Oh, great!
He really doesn't care. Like, so I had that, and then my mum is really into similar sort of stuff. And like Bruce Springsteen or whatever, all that kind of thing. So that was my. And then there was always like loads of acoustic music as well, like Eva Cassidy. That was also like Voice of an Angel. So I think that probably like hearing that really, really early on. I think that probably set that in place, because that's what I do most of now, and that's what I'm interested in. So it's quite funny thinking I like would hear that when I was going around like RV trips when I was like tiny, and then like 20 years later or whatever, suddenly have this like penchant for that kind of music. So,
100%.
It's always like, already like kind of forming, which I think is really, really interesting, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Like we do come, and actually there was a massive point for me maybe about 5 years ago, probably in line with the trend, or I guess the trend's been happening for about 10 years, but Afrobeat and traditional African music being in the club scene, and being sampled loads more, and I literally like in the last couple of years ago when we were allowed to go out, been in Soup Kitchen and listened to songs and been like, this is like this is a song that my mum showed me when I was 7.
Yeah.
It's being played right now. I'm like, when did Africa become cool? First of all, I was annoyed. I was pissed off. I was like, I spent most of my growing up trying to deny my culture, only to then, when I'm an adult, it be thrown back in my face. And I was just, no, I was kind of like a running joke I have in my own head about just the kind of irony of it all. But just to be like, oh, Africa's cool now, sick. So I can talk to people about that and have something to say that and be like, actually, like my dad listened to this guitarist called Thomas Mfumo, who's like one of the best guitarists of all Zimbabwean kind of music. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in Africa, maybe just well-renowned in Africa and probably the globe, to be honest. I don't want to give him too little credit. And that music is just absolutely beautiful and so complex and so intricate. And I was obviously, so there was the one side where they were listening to 80s, 90s soul, even like 70s soul. But the other side, where I was just like always listening to Zimbabwe, South African, Zambian music. Not against my will, but like against my better kind of, I didn't really want to, I didn't really care for it, but I knew all the songs, do you know what I mean? So it's just really interesting to have the world kind of, I don't know, things coming back up. And actually I'm really proud. And that's the one thing that I feel like, not that I'm planning on like ending my music career anytime soon, but before I kind of do want to now maybe challenge myself in the next 5 years to learn more about my traditional Southern African music and like, maybe try and sing a song or like, do you know what I mean? But I don't know.
Totally.
I understand the language, but I don't speak it. So it's a weird one. It would be a challenge and it's an important one, but almost like, I don't know when maybe the next chapter of my life will open that up at some point.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Totally.
But
said it now.
I know, I've said it now, innit? I know.
Yeah,
Like, why did I
committed it to recording.
Hopefully one day I can reconnect with my roots, as they say. It's important, isn't it? Because that's where my voice stems from, that kind of that heritage, that lineage. I think I'm quite a belter when I sing, and I feel like there's a lot of belting in traditional African music, big loud voices, gospel style voices, and that's definitely, I reckon, on the cards.
Okay.
The big scoop.
So for someone that doesn't know very much about like South African music stuff, i.e. me,
And me.
and him, and probably
me.
and him.
Okay.
I just wonder, like, are there any particular like, what's like a good starting point? Is there a particular artist or anything that would be like a good like, try that, just to get a kind of a bit of a picture?
So I think I just mentioned Thomas Mfumo.
He's
an amazing guitarist.
How do you spell that?
Oh no, Thomas. I think it's Mapfumo, so Mapfumo.
I think we've got George on it now.
Oh, George is
Have a little
on
look.
the
Just fact check me. I'm sorry if I spelled it wrong.
So it's
Olivum Tukudzi.
Okay.
Also a really, really well known African. I think they've both passed now, but they're both passed on. But really well known Zimbabwean musician Brenda Fassie. So Fassie. She was an actually big queer icon. So she's from South Africa. Olivum Tukudzi and Thomas Mfumo from Zimbabwe. So I have like a mixture in my family. I'm mainly Zimbabwean, but then I also have West African heritage from my dad and South African and Zambian from my granddad, I think. Anyway, so cool. Southern African, a bit of West African as well. So I'm a bit of a mixture. But in terms of the culture that I grew up with, is mostly the southern part of Africa. And so Brenda Fassie is like, I like to say, just for a comparison, maybe like the Shaka Khan of South Africa. Nice. She's a queer icon as well. Like, so she was, of her time, like she was just defying all the norms, because it wasn't accepted to be a lesbian woman in Africa. I don't think of in very, very heavily religious circles. It wouldn't be accepted. But she was also played in every family's home as well, because she was so amazing. Such an amazing singer, writer. Oh God, she's just got beautiful, beautiful songs. And I'm trying to think of anyone else I can bring to mind.
Would you say Fela Kuti's on with that?
So Fela Kuti is West African. He's Nigerian. So he's actually like, I think he's the same tribe as my dad. I'm not sure. So like my dad is Yoruba tribe, which is a West African tribe. You've got the two Igbo and you've got Yoruba, and they're two of the main tribes. So my last name is from one of those tribes. I think Fela Kuti might be Yoruba as well, but he's probably not. maybe fact check that. Anyway, so there's definitely a lineage there, but I actually don't know as much about West African music as I do. Again, I just didn't grow up in the same household as my father, so there's a whole other side there that I'm going to have to explore as well. Maybe in 10 years' time, I'll go West African route. And yeah, I mean, I think those three, they just come to the top of my head. Ovum Tukuzi, Brenda Fassie, Thomas Mafuma, listen to them and get inspired. And I'm sure YouTube will lead you down the right rabbit holes. Just really, really nice, very vocal music, very honest, very, very confessional, and just really lovely to listen to. And yeah, I've got to say that my dad definitely has a big role in opening those doors to me. So yeah, thanks.
So it's really interesting with the. So can you explain the tribe thing a little bit more to me? Because I think that's so interesting. Like, just like having such like a knowledge of your heritage and stuff. I don't know like anything about my family and what do you know what I mean? Like how far back it goes and stuff. And I just think it's really, well, just tell me a little bit more about it. I'm interested.
Well, I don't really know much more than that, to be honest. I know, like it actually works in a very similar way to like, I guess like folk, like Scottish. What do you call it when they've got patterns or they've got a bad...
The Tardens.
Sama Campbell clan.
Yeah, a clan. Exactly. It's the same premise as a clan.
Right.
But so the tribes are related to the names, and that means you should know where your lineage is from. And I guess tribes have their own cultural rules and stuff. They did once upon a time. But I actually really, I don't really know the details. I don't actually know anyone further back than my great grandfather.
Right.
And I don't know whether that history exists or it's just not documented. I think there's a whole issue around the documentation of history in Africa anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, that's just there's a lot of gaps and holes there that might not ever know. So yeah, but I do know these basic things just because you get told, like, you're part of your tribe, you're part of this tribe. South Africa has many tribes, many languages. Zimbabwe, and I think it has a few languages, but Shona is the main language, and this is the one that I understand but can't speak. My mum speaks like 3 languages, Ndebele, which is like the Zambian language. I think she knows a bit of like Zulu or Swahili, and she knows Shona as well. So I wish I actually know. I've had these conversations. Like she tried, they all tried to teach me it, but I just didn't really want to learn. So I'm British. So I can't. Yeah, that's probably about as far as my knowledge goes.
Oh,
but
fair.
Hopefully that will inspire other people to have a little look.
Yeah, totally. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It's important.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily important in the beginning of our life. I think as we grow older, we want our life to just like feel more rounded, and you can feel more rounded when you get the whole picture.
Yeah, totally. I got the Campbell family history from Will Jacquet told me about it, and it's not great. I can see why. There's a lot of betrayal.
Oh no!
Yeah, the McDonald's haters apparently, but I mean,
really?
it's nothing to do with me.
Wait, so what? Go on, you're going to have to tell us a bit about it now.
I don't want to go too much into it. I think there was a bit of an allegiance going on, and the Campbells got up to some really shady stuff at one point, and then sort of betrayed them. I think George is looking it up right now.
Oh.
I can't remember the
Shit, there's some hot gossip.
Yeah. What was the bad one, George?
Damn, some 50th century fucking dirt being thrown.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Why? What sort of thing are we talking
Do you want the brief?
Just some bullet points.
Yeah.
Just for me as well, by the way. Understand, my knowledge of this goes from about 30 seconds ago when I found out this was a thing.
Awesome.
So
You have the internet.
There's some treason in there.
Yeah.
So.
I think there's a little bit. I think we started with the English.
You bastard! You
Sorry.
traitorous bastard.
Yeah.
hey man, I think it's cool, man. You side with the English.
Well, go on, George. Have you got any? You got any little bits?
So, do you want the 17th century and Civil War? So, at the Battle of Inverlochie,
Okay.
Archibald Campbell was basically a little bit of an asshole,
Okay.
and betrayed Clan MacDonald and Clan MacLean, And
the McLeans.
In response, the Montrose and the McLeans burnt Castle Campbell to the ground. Don't got no castle anymore, boy.
I know.
Savage, man. What were you thinking, man?
I don't know, man. I still feel guilty about it. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, though, you've still got a pretty swish castle on the go. Hang on, I'll get it up.
Where
for
is
you.
it?
Yeah, whereabouts is the Campbell clan located?
Argyll, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Do you know where that is? I have no idea where that is.
No, but I remember reading it. We've got like in my family like downstairs bathroom. There's like a Campbell thing. It says like thine name is thine honor, and it describes like what it means to be a Campbell, like with all like the kind of tartan around it and stuff. So yeah.
Do you want to?
Do you know the meaning of Campbell?
So Campbell interestingly means there's loads of like speculation because it doesn't necessarily mean one specific thing because language is really weird, isn't it? So, but one of the translations was I think something like big nose or like kind of crooked nose, which I'd say like the Campbells kind of have pretty big noses. Yeah. So
Wait,
I'd take
but that can't dictate who gets born. So like. The very first Campbell would have had a huge nose and pass it down to everyone.
To me, apparently.
So the Campbell name is a Scottish surname derived from Gaelic root, which comes from crooked mouth.
So that's the next one I was going
Or
to say. And I
rhino.
also, when I was born, had a very crooked mouth. I had braces for years.
Really?
So when I read those two things, I was like, okay. maybe
Wow,
something.
DNA is actually mad, to be honest.
Yeah,
To think that can dictate so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't actually know my last name. So yeah, this is the difference. I don't actually know the meaning of my last name, but because my names aren't English, that I have translations for them all, which are all fairly interesting. My first, I've got like five. I've got 4 names and then a surname. So my first name is Yemi, which is these are the names that my parents chose for me. So they all tell a bit of a story. So Yemi means I'm honoured or honoured one. I guess they wanted me to be honoured, honourable. And then Ola Tokumbo, which is my second name, which means born abroad, so not born in your native country, or like basically this tells it feels like it just basically explains who I am. And then Noctula means to be quiet one. I don't really get that one. And I always still wonder like why. Because I did not come out quiet.
What happened?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's they wanted me to be a quiet child or if it's just a name. It's actually it's my favourite name actually. Noctula is really nice. I don't know. I think it's a really lovely, like a princess name. I think.
Yeah.
Princess Noctula. But I'm not quiet. And then I got everyone gets an English name usually. So I got Margaret. Which is means pearl, which is lovely. So anyone who's got Peggy or Maggie or I think they've all got the same meaning. But I don't know what my last name is.
Right.
You know what I always wonder about last names? Is why do they always mean like positive things? Why is there no one with called John fucking asshole? You know? Like you know
That's not going to fly.
Yeah.
I guess so. You're not going to call your son
Yeah, you don't want to be
asshole.
called that, man.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
true.
answer.
I think you've answered your own question there, George.
All right, I'll leave you to it.
Yeah, thanks,
We're
man.
really gonna have to get Brad's though, aren't we? Any idea?
Ingham, yeah, do you want to look at that up, George? I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure my family is just like as northern as it gets. It's just like I
All the
went to
way.
my great grandma's funeral like a couple of years ago and met like all my extended family that I'd never met before. Just unbelievable, just like the most like pie eating, like just like just
All Lancs, like Lancashire,
yeah,
Yorkshire.
yeah, just like and just unbelievably northern. I was like, right, okay. I thought there might have been something interesting in there, but no.
No.
I mean, it's interesting if you're not from here.
I guess so, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But so go on. What we got for the
Well,
name?
So the name Ingham
Yeah.
comes from Yorkshire and Lancashire.
There you go.
You northern boy, and it comes from 2 words, Inga and Ham, which together mean. So Inga means home and Ham means stead. So it's homestead.
Oh, so it's just the Ingham
Nice,
homestead.
man.
Right,
You should release an
yeah.
EP called Homestead.
Wow. So
That's
deep.
nice. That's
Yeah.
a nice inspiration, roots knowledge there.
Homestead.
Homestead.
Oh, you learn something new every day, don't you? Thanks for
And
that, George.
to think how many years you've had that name.
I know. Never even thought.
We don't really inquire. I got told because I had non-English names and I felt like it was more of a thing in my culture to have a name that meant something. Or in a lot of cultures, I'm sure, but definitely in mine. So that's what I've always known.
Yeah.
Sort of my story, my opener. Actually, I didn't open with it, did I?
No.
Just a good go-to.
Yeah.
Everyone uses it.
So you're
Yeah.
saying you're given an English name. Is that like a thing in the culture then?
Yeah, it's a common thing, definitely in African culture. I think very much in Caribbean culture as well, even though in Caribbean culture, I believe, or like Caribbean West Indies, a lot of people have English names because of the slavery route anyway. But I'm pretty sure some of my South Asian friends have a similar thing as well, where they
Right.
have a middle name. And basically, it's just colonialism. So if you ever needed to, you've got a name that you could use instead of, just to show that you had some kind of link to the Commonwealth or whatever it is. And actually, like, Zimbabwe only became independent in 1980. Before that, this is literally where my parents were growing up.
Yeah.
All the roads and stuff were like, obviously it was called Rhodesia or whatever. And roads were like Edward Road and Elizabeth Avenue and stuff like that. And then he lived, my dad and mum lived through the turning where everything went back to whatever the names used to be before they got changed. So
Right.
really interesting. And it's so recent in history. It's only 41 years ago. To think that like 42 years ago, all the roads in Zimbabwe were named after British people.
That's fucked up, man.
It's mad. It's pretty mad. And there's so much that I'm going to, I think, delve into myself. It's all very interesting to know. But yeah, that's a fun fact. Another nice fact, though, is in 1980 when we had the independence, when Zimbabwe had the independence, Bob Marley did the opening show. And my dad was actually there. I think it was a bit of a mad one because I think they all got gassed and stuff. It was all pretty crazy. But yeah, there you go. Some facts about Zimbabwe.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny on the, because like, obviously we've known each other for a few years. Just having these conversations that we'd never talk about this.
No,
would
we never would, actually. We never would. And like, and I think like, I'm coming out here wearing literally my most African outfit. So I feel like maybe I've set the tone.
Fabulous outfit.
I was about
by the way.
Yeah,
like
that's
8 years
awesome.
ago. I'd probably be, with my straight hair and all sorts.
Yeah.
We all grow up and develop, and we get to, I don't know, embrace ourselves and embrace our culture. It's something I like to talk about a lot more than I did. For sure.
Yeah.
But realistically, I grew up in England. I was born and raised here. I grew up in London, and I know England more than I know anywhere else. But yeah, it feels boring to talk about England, doesn't it?
Nothing interesting in England. Only bad things in England. Yeah.
Have
that's
you
true.
been to back to Africa? And
Yeah.
Not back to.
Yeah. I visited first when I was like 14. So that was the very first time I went to Zimbabwe, and then since then I've visited 4 times over. I've not been since 2017 now, so I'm way overdue a visit. And I've never been to Nigeria, which my dad's side of the family is from, unfortunately. But again, on the list for the future. Been to South Africa, not been to Zambia. I've been to Africa maybe like 5 or 6 times, but there's Africa's massive.
Yeah.
I know nothing about Central, East Africa or North Africa, but I feel like I'm going to spend most of the rest of my life trying to explore those avenues. And Zimbabwe's a beautiful, rich country of land and animals, and really, really gorgeous. But it's just been really, really messed up by politics. So
Yeah, of course.
that is a sad story.
Yeah.
We shan't go too much into that.
Second half.
We'll delve in deep. So, I think we'll go for a bit of music now, Yemi.
Music,
Yes.
yeah.
So you came in with Ollie Lamb earlier today, and performed some of your music. So this is stuff you do with the band, right?
It is the band that you're in.
That I'm in. We broke the illusion.
Oh, sorry, guys. No, yeah. So this is, I mean, as I was talking about songwriting before, the songs that I sang before are 2 fairly new ones that are in, I guess, in my more current voice of my head, wherever my headspace is, or current, represent a very kind of owning, I don't know what you call it, like just being very open about how I feel about things. I think I'm doing a lot more of that. I feel like I'm allowing myself to be more gushy. I'm not a very gushy person. I'm very extroverted, very social. I'm not super gushy though. I don't wear my heart on my sleeve, basically. But I think through music, I'm trying to allow myself to explore, and I feel like I can be the gushy version of myself through songs and through singing.
Yeah, totally.
And that's it really. I guess that's pretty basic stuff.
So yeah, Yemi came in earlier today, played some lovely tunes, which you guys are going to hear now, and we'll be back in about 10-15 minutes, and we'll chat about that and God knows what else. So enjoy the music, and we'll be back in a bit. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hi. Hi, my name is Yemi Bolatiwa. This is Oliver Lamb on keys, and we're going to play a few of my songs for you. The very first one is called One Night. Thank you. The next song is called Troubled Living. They say happiness equals to money, but that's not true. Misleading, deceiving, they take what we need. Oh, it's troubled living. Feel like quitting this unforgiving world. Detrimental, power central in a hopeless, messed up world. Top of the power game, give it advice, they say. Live within means, but means never do. Sacrifice all your hope, work to the bone and go. Living for them and never for you. It's trouble living, feel like quitting this unforgiving world. Illusions of progress, losing your focus in a hopeless, messed up world. Oh, wondering how we got this far. Have we lost the roots of who we are? People we try so very hard. Are we out of love? Will we self-destruct? Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, yeah, we all in this together. Trying to live a better life, trying to be clever. Never mind your hopes and dreams, they can go whenever. No, not for real, that's not my endeavor. I wanna keep the peace and fight for rights. I wanna try and preach but respect the times. Positivity is my only mood, even if the outlook's not so good. Spread your mind, not just your wings. Sing and see what that may bring. It's not so hard, now tell me how we got this far. Yeah. It's troubled living, feel like quitting this unforgiving world. Yeah. Detrimental, power central in a hopeless, messed up world. Yeah. Trouble living, feel like quitting this unforgiving world. Yeah. Illusions of progress, losing your focus in a hopeless, messed up world. Yeah. Trouble living. Trouble living. Thank you. And the final song we're going to play for you is very new, and it's called I Need to Change. Every day I look into the mirror and I recognize a long lost friend, a friend that I have always known, the one who helps me be alone, the one who built brick walls around my heart. strong and never fell apart. Da-da-dee-da-da-dee-da-dum-dum. Now I feel my heart needs attention. Da-da-dee-da-da-dee-da-dum-dum. And I need a new friend. Now don't get me wrong, that friend was good to me and helped me to avoid those silly games, silly games. I wish I was afraid, but I'm ready to be vulnerable. I'm ready now to make the call. I'm ready to divulge it all. I need to change. I am in danger of staying the same. Old habits don't die so easy, they say. I need to change. Why am I stuck in my old silly ways? Why can't I break from these obvious chains? I need to change. Now I feel like my own enemy and trapped by all I want to be. I want to be alone and strong, but need someone to tag along. Does anybody out there feel the same? I hope to feel the same and change. I need to change. I am in danger of staying the same. Old habits don't die so easy, they say. I need to change. Da-da-dee-da-da-dee-da-dum-dum. I need to change. I am in danger of staying the same. Old habits don't die so easy, they say. I need to change. Thank you.
Alright. Thanks, Yemi. So, Yemi, where can people find your stuff online?
Yeah, mostly on Instagram, Yemi Bolatiwa Soul Singer, but I'm on Facebook as well. And if you're on Twitter, then I'm on there, but I'm not on there that much. So yeah, Instagram.
Awesome. Sweet. Thanks very much.
Thank
Yemi.
you.
Cheers. Hello and welcome back to episode 26 of the Kicking Back podcast. You've just heard some delightful music from our guest today, Yemi Bolatiwa.
Thanks.
Did you enjoy playing in our tiny little studio, Yemi?
Oh, it's a lovely setting, isn't it? It looks great. I feel like that's half the thing when you're watching music. If it doesn't
Yeah.
look good, then no one cares.
That's it, man.
Especially on
It's true.
Instagram.
It can
So,
sound
yeah.
terrible, but if it looks good, then you're winning.
Get away with it.
You're winning.
It didn't sound
definitely.
terrible though. It sounded good.
No, it sounded good.
But
Thank
no one
you.
hears. So.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about what the songs are about?
Yes. Oh, it's all about me and Miss Psyche, isn't it? So the first one's called One Night, and basically it's actually not like, I don't know. It kind of came from this kind of idea of not being able to say like I love you or tell people that I love you, and it's like in my head it's like one night. Who knows? Maybe I'll say it. Maybe I'll do it. But then like the task is not a task, because it shouldn't be a task. This is what's the problem. The thing in itself feels like a bit of like a big leap and a big jump and like this big like thing, and I've got to go and tell them I love them. How I'm gonna do it. And like I get quite graphic with the explanations about saying like I feel like everything that I've got, my flesh and blood is like pouring out of me if I was to say it. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like such a big thing. So.
Yeah.
Through a very kind of simplistic R&B style tune, I'm saying something that's actually really, really like close to my heart, and I wrote it like 2 years ago now. And yeah, it's just basically saying like one day I will, and you know, Like, and yeah, obviously, so like, don't be afraid to say it. But you know, still getting there. I've been there. But you know what I mean. I feel like, you know, everyone has their own journey when it comes to love, and that's what basically what it's about.
Nice.
Beautiful.
I know that feeling. It's horrible when you want to say it and you just like, you feel like you're going to throw up.
Yeah. And then you do throw up.
On them. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, but definitely relatable feelings, and hopefully it comes across all right. And I think like when I'm telling those kind of stories, hopefully the emotion comes through the voice as well as the words. Because some of the words, sometimes you're like, does that make sense to anyone else? I don't know, but hopefully.
Well, I think, you know, people interpret it how they want, won't they?
Yeah, you can't control how people receive it. So like, I mean, it's obviously nice to be able to explain it to people, but I'd be interested to hear what you thought it was about if you didn't know, if you didn't know before this. But anyway, on the next song was Troubled Living. So that's like probably one of more like conscious, outward looking songs. It's basically like an observation on capitalism and like the way the world is, and hope for the future, and hoping that we become a better humanity and stuff, you know, that old narrative. But it's one of my favourite songs. I think it's one of our most complete songs as a band. It's on Spotify and all the digital channels and stuff. And I really like it. And I actually wrote it a long time ago when I was like 22, 23 years old. And we only released it last year, so it's mad how things don't change and how you can put a song out. Yeah. And it's more than ever more relevant than it's ever been, to be honest. So that's what that one is about. And then the last one is I Need to Change, which I literally wrote about 3 years ago. And I guess it comes from this whole, like, everyone's had an introspective time during lockdown, I'm sure. And you just kind of like, I'm just like, why can't I be, I think I have this constant thing about myself being like not emotional enough, or like trying to open myself up. And, you know, I talked about it a little bit maybe in the break and stuff. And it's like, I need to just change my habits. I'm like, why can't I do it? Because I'm aware of it. I'm conscious of it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's still not changing. I'm still doing the same things.
Yeah.
How can I? And I'm just like, but then now I'm writing about it in a song and I'm telling people about it quite openly, and hopefully that's the next stage. And maybe that's breaking it down. And I don't know, like I don't want to ever change my personality, but I want to change some of the things that, like, you know, if you've learned to put a barrier up your whole life, it's really, really difficult to put it back down. Some people have the opposite problem, that they don't know how to put barriers, or how to, you know, have barriers with, you know, they don't know when to stop people from coming in. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like, I have the exact opposite. So I feel like there's always two sides and a million other stories that happen within that spectrum of that kind of story. But that's what it's about, basically. And who wants to stay the same? Do you know what I mean? We want to evolve and develop as people, as human beings. And I think that's important. So that's the big old meaning.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah. And like, you're not going to say the same even if you try to, really. Do you know what I mean? You're just going to be like more and more stifled. So you might as well just go with the flow, man.
Yeah.
We keep saying it to each other, like, the hippies were right with the whole go with the flow thing. Like, you know,
you have
they're
to.
on something. Yeah.
You have like, or else you're stagnant and you're pent up, and you know, things aren't moving on, and holding on to grudges, that ain't good for anyone, is it? I'm sure, like, not that I'm Buddhist by any means, but I feel like it's one of the I don't know, tones of voices or approaches to life that I agree with most, that I know I can never really ever live up to. But I think, Buddhism is all about that kind of like calmness and peace and not holding on to grudges. And the wisdom is in knowing that you can't change, you know, the wisdom is in knowing that things aren't, I know, even though things are bad and whatever, and accepting that, and, you know, do you know what I mean? As opposed to like festering and all the negative things that we tend to do when we're in our worst kind of states of mind. But I'm not a Buddhist. Hey, we need our fact checker. Can we get some fact checks on some Buddhist?
It's buggered off, man. It's disappeared.
Buddhist proverbs, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, totally.
There's a lot of I'm not really someone that has a faith or anything, but I agree with you. I think a lot of the core principles in Buddhism it just seems to make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
when I think of Buddhism, I always think of the phrase like "act like you chose it," which I think is just like you just apply it. You know, whatever shit things like act like you chose it and own it, and sort of. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think there's different kinds of acceptance as well, like with whatever's going on in life. So like when you just said there, like you're aware, like you're conscious of there's certain like habits or whatever, like certain parts of you that maybe don't. They are there and they are real, so it's like accepting them, but they're not like who you are. They don't define you. And then, so as soon as you like properly accept it, and there's a different. You can't just say in your head, "I accept it." You got like, really, you know what I mean? That doesn't count if you're still like really bitter about it.
Right, done. There you go.
Cool. But like really like accepting it, like as like the same thing, like as if you chose it, because whatever situation happens in life is like, well, there it is. Like what it doesn't make. I think part of like a good trait that humans had to get us this far was to not accept things and to be like, well, this should be better. And some of that's good, but it comes to also, it kind of gets in the way of happiness overall, I think, or not necessarily happiness, but like contentment.
Definitely. I always think like when it comes to happiness and content, like I'm not trying to be happy. I need to be content and then find moments of happiness, find moments of, you know.
Definitely. And contentment's like a little bit of a deeper thing, I think, isn't it? Happiness is like when you're a kid and someone gives you a cookie and you're like, this is awesome. I don't think, you can't like base things off of happiness, but yeah, just accepting it. Like, I love doing it with really small things, like dropping a mug on the floor and it smashing to pieces and being like, well,
Like you just did.
yeah, like I did like an hour ago. Yeah, just like, oh, there it is.
You don't need to change that part of yourself. Just accept it.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
And then accept it, but then just getting really used to that thing of noticing that like there's the little me, like the little kind of part of you which wants to like object to that comes out like later on in life as well with things that are maybe more seemingly like bigger problems, but a lot of time you can say like someone's just being horrible to you as an example and you have no idea why. However, just being like, well, I can't do anything about it.
Exactly.
You'll never know why they're doing it. Like you don't really need to know why. Like how much of it does affect who you actually are, or just like really simple thoughts like that kind of bring you out of it, because you go like, oh well, there
exactly.
it is. Yeah.
But when you do know why, you know why, because there's a gut feeling in there, and you feel like, and you like think, I did something wrong, but I don't know how to address it. And that's when we get into those thingies of like, do we ignore that feeling or do we? And eventually, I always think with those situations, I always end up addressing it. I have to bring it up, or I have to like, you have to clear your conscience of things that don't feel right. And that's a different state of mind. Owning up to things and accept it. It's still acceptance, isn't it? It's like, I might have done something wrong. Let me just try and fix that, or be the person who's going to try at least. And
totally.
Yeah.
And then even if you did do something wrong, like is like stewing on it, or like why how like if like even if you revisit and stuff, that's not going to change anything about it. So like even making that choice of like, okay, well, I did something wrong, I messed up in that situation, but like if I want to live the best life possible for me and for everyone else, I might as well just forget about it and carry on without like kind of letting it fester or holding on to all that kind of negative stuff. But
don't let it affect other people as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I had to go like through this stuff so much over lockdown, just in terms of like the kind of a weird feeling of like not being enough yet and not like arriving, which I think comes from like trying to be as good as possible, basically. But that ends up getting in the way if you feel like you've never arrived or you're never at like.
And what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
To finally get there, where?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, like, well, I'm only ever here anyway, which again is a really weird thing, because I think thought is always like the next moment, isn't it? Like, there's this really important thing that you have to do, and you've got to do it now, and especially if you're a musician and everything's so competitive anyway. And a lot of you like feelings of self-worth get tied into music, which I think most musicians, if they're trying to be like kind of professional about whatever, they end up having that to some degree, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instinct.
I think one of my kind of ways of diffusing that is like I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I think I get that, for whatever reasons. But like when it comes to music, I think what I did is like I put myself in all possible categories. So if one of them goes wrong, then I'm like, okay, well I've got the other one.
Let's do that.
I'll just be good at that instead. So in a way, it was like set myself up for, well, the opposite of setting yourself up for failure, but I just trying to do it all a little bit, which is almost non-committal, which is again probably another thing. That's another thing that runs through my life, a bit non-committal, but I still give everything 70-80%. Which, I can't give. If I give one thing 100%, for me, like I just don't think that's ever going to happen. Because can you really give it 100% to anyone, and then you're just setting yourself up to fail? So, I guess there's a whole there's a philosophy there about what success is, and I feel like my success is the ability to do all the things I can do, not necessarily any particular end result. Just the fact that I can.
You can do it.
Yeah, exactly. So why not?
Give it a go. And then any other thingies that comes up is a win. You know, people come and ask me to go in their podcast, like, wow, they want me to come and chat with them. Wicked, let's do that then.
Exactly. And I think from that you end up just like floating through life, just doing really well because you're not tied to it, and so that everything will kind of go more your way. Do you know? Because you'll just as a default you'll be more open to it and more responsive rather than shying away from things.
Absolutely. So, there's a balance of getting to that point, knowing your worth, but then not turning that worth into arrogance or expectation.
Yeah, totally.
Because I am just one of a million singers in the world. Do you know what I mean? You know, and just got to be grateful to be listened to by anyone, really, to be honest. So,
yeah, that's it, man.
Very true, but at the same time, you're the only Yemi.
Well, there's a few famous Yemis, I think. Yemi Alade. And, I don't know. But no, I don't know if there's any famous Yemi Bolatiwas yet, so...
You got that one.
There we go. And if not, I'll change my name to one of my middle names instead, and I'll try and I'll just swap my names so I'm more unique.
I see what you meant, the changing thing now. Just
Just got options. You got options.
Exactly, there are options. There are.
Yeah, I mean, just like going back on what you were saying, like you're one of the busiest people that I know. Like it's crazy the amount of stuff that you do. Like it's very impressive. Like
Thank you, but carry on. Sorry.
Well, I just you have a lot of energy, and that's something I've noticed. Like from when I first met you, just like all the way through, it's like you're very good. You're very good at what you do, and you put a lot of energy into it. And I'm always just like, how the fuck does she just do all this stuff? Because I have to do like one thing, like edit a video. I'm like, oh my god, I hate this. And I'm just like, I can't like split my mentality up that much. I mean, I'm very like tunnel vision, just like right, I've got to do that, and then I'm just a bit simple. I think.
No, that's actually not at all. I think, like, to be honest, I think I am, for want of a better term, like designed to be that kind of person. I think in life and society, to go to sociology, everyone has a role and a place, and you have to have people of my kind of ability in order to make things happen, because people who work in events, for example, tend to be on a very similar level of activity or energy or whatever than as I am. So I found myself in a good place being in the arts and in live music, because actually I was able to channel my energy into being, multitasking, and I'm a very late night person. So like, the kind of the nature of the business and the industry kind of tended to that nature. So I feel like I filled in aspects of my personality that in a standard 9 to 5 setting would completely not really work.
Yeah.
But I also, like, in my marketing background, that helped loads. I had to be extremely organised to get into that. And it's honestly a blessing and a curse, because sometimes I feel like I'm not very present. and I don't think I suffer too much from not being very present. But what I do think is that the thing that I'm not getting by not being as present, like I've tried to meditate and stuff, and I've had little bouts and spouts of it and stuff, and then I it just doesn't come naturally to me, and I know it's something you've got to keep doing. And the idea is that, like, I'm always doing 6 or 7 things at one time, and I don't know if that's because I want to, or if that's because that's all I know how to be now.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like I don't know how to just do one thing.
Yeah.
So, like I say, a blessing and a curse, and maybe naturally my life will develop and change to a point where I have to start making more decisions about what I do and don't do. But while I've got the energy,
just do it, man.
Just fucking go for it. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. You've always just come with, like, I'm just like, right, if Yemi's doing it, she'll get it done. Do you know what I mean? You're a doer. You get shit done, which I think is a good skill to have, man.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just, I think with me, like, having a bit more, like you're saying about the presence thing, like, I definitely didn't used to be like at all. I was just like up here all the time.
Yeah.
And then started meditating stuff over lockdown. And then it's funny now that going back into like the cycle of getting busy again, I can see those old things cropping back up at the same. It's so hard. It's easy to give yourself space and stuff when there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like still trying to instill those things whilst things are like crazy.
Yeah.
It's something I'm trying to figure out at the moment, but
totally. I guess
it's difficult, man.
The thing with that people get really confused by is that, like, in any moment, like, how much people feel like there's a lot to lose. So if you stop thinking and you stop planning about the future and be like, like 6 things at once, the gut instinct, even like now, you probably think like, if I was to stop thinking about that, it's all gonna fall apart. Like every single thing that I'm working towards is gonna go or whatever.
Yeah,
but just realizing that if you take like 2 minutes just to basically just give yourself a break and be really, really good to yourself, it actually has the opposite effect. Like usually, like you end up feeling more creative afterwards.
Wow.
Literally, if it's just 2 minutes, and then it's like, okay, so like even this part of me, which is like totally driven and not really present because it's always focused on the future things, even that part of me will benefit if I just give myself a break for 2 minutes right now, you know, just to even like just enjoy what it feels like to be alive, which is really, I think people miss out on so much, don't they? Because it's always like life's the set of goals that you need to go for, but you kind of miss like and any moment, like how bad is a moment? And most of the time, the moment's pretty freaking awesome, just like as a default, you know, even whether you're thinking or not. And I don't know whether you can stop thinking. I think you can just become so aware of the fact that thinking's going on that it doesn't really take up that much space anymore. It's like, okay, thoughts going on, that's cool. And I kind of feel like that's humanity's next thing in terms of like evolving, moving forward.
So what, opening the senses up to what else is, like, not just being up here.
Exactly, just the fact like the birds are always singing, all these like cars are always going by, just all these things that, like just the feeling of the air in the room, all those things. Like it sounds so simple, doesn't it? Kind of to like human like analytical minds, it's like, why the hell would you even bother wasting time with that like load of nonsense? That's kind of where you want to go, right? Because I can feel myself, even when I'm talking about it, I can feel there's like part of me still wants to kind of be like, that doesn't help anyone, you know? What, just being in a moment you're in, like what's that going to achieve? But then it starts to get to like a paradox, isn't it? Really easy times to say in the shower. Like, I'm in the shower now that I don't have to rush this. I might as well totally enjoy this as if I don't have a really busy day tomorrow, as if I don't have a project 3 weeks I'm so super stressed about. Is being stressed in that moment really going to help with any of that? That's the illusion that the mind creates, isn't it? And then like when I'm in the car, you know, you got a half an hour drive. Usually it's beautiful. You know what I mean? If you drive into the gig at like kind of late evening and you get the sunset and everything, I always think to myself, like, how many of those moments did I used to miss? Because I was so focused on worrying about the gig, how I was going to go, did I have everything? I was worried about all the shit, and usually the gig would go fine. Like usually it would all actually go really well. I'm like, hang on, I missed that whole journey, which could have been, which was a great moment in my life, but I totally wasn't there because I was worried about stuff, and it never even happened. It's crazy. Do you know what I mean?
For me, it's not even that negative. I'm not really a worrywart. I've got a really like amazing self-confidence because I feel like I've got to the point where, you know, I've very DIY, worked myself up from like a kind of immigrant social housing background to being very self-sufficient. And I think that's where my work ethic comes from. So I'm so safe in the knowledge that whatever comes my way, I will sort it out. I will work it out. Totally. So I don't worry about things going wrong. I don't know. I think I just like want to make sure that everything's going as well as possible, but not to a state of perfection. It's a bit complex. But like, I think, you're right. And like, I don't like the idea that anyone would spend their time like thinking on their way to something, especially like even like a gig that I was doing or something, worrying about it. I want them to know if I'm booking them from a gig that I've got it all in hand. You shouldn't worry, just turn up.
Totally.
And I like to try and be that kind of figure in a group or a social circle or whatever, because the idea, I know a lot of people do have more worries and more space, and things go wrong. And I'm really lucky that like everyone's had their adverse stories in life, but actually like I've had a really, really lucky life to this, you know, to this day. So I've got to be appreciative of everything I do have, as opposed to worrying about what could go wrong or what hasn't gone wrong yet and all that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily always like negative to not be present, but I guess that, I don't know, there's something out there that I need to probably work on.
But even just admitting it, like, or just not admitting it, that sounds bad, but like acknowledging it, being like, do you know what I mean? That's like the first step, isn't it? Just being like, oh, cool. And then you realize there's like, there is like, this kind of extra space that you've got. So, and you can just go into that space whenever you want as well, which is cool.
To a certain degree, I wonder if it's like just being aware of it is pretty much you've won the battle, you know? Because like you can't like stop them thoughts from going in your head and stuff like that. But as soon as you're aware of them and what they are, you know, you can see them for what they are, and then suddenly they don't have the same amount of power over you.
Maybe,
exactly.
No, you're right.
They just sort of dissolve, don't they? I know what you mean.
It's really weird.
Because once you actually look at them and realise what they are in their full face, you know, suddenly this big scary thing that was in front of you looks like, you know, it just seems like a little kid, you know,
It is.
a little bit of a paddy.
It is, man. Like I equate like my inner mentality is just like he's just a 5-year-old kid. He's a little asshole.
Wants some attention.
Yeah, literally, he's just like, oh, yeah. And then like, I'll be like meditating, and then he'll say something, and I'll catch him, and then I'll start laughing to myself. I was like, that's what you were going to try and distract me with this time. It's just like, it's hilarious, man.
I know, yeah.
It's so funny as well that I never used to be like aware of it. Do you know what I mean? I used to
Exactly,
think,
yeah.
used to just think that was me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because you think your thoughts are like, oh, that's me. It sounds
Me
like
and me and my
sounds
thoughts.
like my voice. It's me
Yeah.
that's going on.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you like step out, you're like, oh fuck! I have no control over you. You just say whatever the hell you want,
exactly,
and I'm just along for the ride, basically. Yeah, it's
I love that little depiction of like a character in you.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? Actually, like in terms of like, I don't know if we're talking a little bit about not being stressed or not being worried or like. I guess it's switching up. Like one of my favorite things to do, which is a very common thing, but is to watch. But more than I like to admit, or more than people would probably, is I watch cartoons a lot.
Cool.
Like more than I watched adult TV, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's something in that like I just love the idea of being outside of my normal. I don't know. I can when something happens in a cartoon, it feels completely. Not real,
totally.
but it's still relatable and still hilarious and still, Rick and Morty, Archer, obviously all the classics, Simpsons, South Park, Adventure Time, like most of the common ones. Started watching Solar Opposites the other day, and which I thought
Oh
was
my
really
god,
funny.
that show made me cry the other day. You know the episode with the mouse?
wall? No.
Yeah, the mouse, the milk mouse.
Oh yeah, oh gosh,
Cried like a little bitch. I wasn't expecting it at all. I was like, oh my god, I'm watching a film and I'm really emotionally involved with this mouse. And I won't spoil it, but something bad happens to the mouse. And honestly, there were like tears in my eyes. I was like, I can't believe I felt this way over a stupid cartoon about aliens.
Well, that's
That's mad.
Yeah.
That's mad. I mean, I can watch anything in cartoon form pretty much and feel like I'm switching off and feel like I'm not stressed or I'm not thinking about anything.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. There's something about the separation of real life. So anyway, I feel like that's just like one way of like de-stressing or feeling more present in the moment while watching cartoons. I don't know.
I
It's not
think
real.
getting out in nature is so important for that as well.
That is
It's
obviously.
like especially when you go out to the peaks and stuff, because it's pretty much beautiful everywhere you go around there.
Right.
And then just that same thing of like, because I would definitely say I've not really anymore, but my whole life I've been like quite a worried person, so I was like worrying about the next thing and stuff. And like I didn't choose that; it's just how it goes. So it doesn't really matter. I definitely don't want you guys to feel sorry for me or anything. But
Oh, you're okay, man.
but it's just funny, isn't it? When you realise like I can't stop you worrying, but I can also just kind of watch it happen, and it's like hang on. It's not even that bad. Like, it's just a really strange process. And obviously, I'm not saying don't worry about anything. Everything's great like all the time. But just a lot of the things that I would have bigged up just turned out to be like totally pointless, basically. But then going out into nature and just taking a lot of time just to appreciate what it's actually like here, I think is so important, isn't it?
Definitely, man.
For kind of getting out of that zone and just being more present in general.
Definitely. I've obviously during lockdown did more cycling and going to parks and walks than I'd ever done really, because I'm a proper city slicker, always in the city, always surrounded by cement and that's a bit of a shame. The last month got really busy and now I've barely done any of that, so I need to make sure I make more space for that over the next 4 months before summer goes away again. So thanks for the reminder. I also last lockdown, like I've always had a bit of a affinity for birds, more from an aesthetic point of view, and just like they're sick because they like their feathers are always sick. There's 10,000 species of them. They fly and they sing, like pretty sick animals if you ask me.
Yeah.
But there's so many of them to learn about, and I've just now since lockdown last year, I now know loads more about like birds and outdoors than I ever did. And one of my, I wouldn't even call it the pastime because I've probably only done it 5 times, but is to go out for a cycle to a woods or a park and just do some bird spotting for like half an hour.
Beautiful. I love that.
And for me, from like someone who wasn't naturey, like that was a big step for me, and like I find that very peaceful and very so separate from my normal day-to-day life. Something completely different.
Yeah.
Something I'm complete novice in. So every time I notice something, I'm learning something, and that is definitely probably my most present time.
Yeah.
Apart from when I get my phone out and I take a picture of it, I'm like, fucked it.
And then you're on Instagram, you're like,
But yeah, nature for sure.
It's beautiful. What about singing as well? Do you find you more present when you sing? The kind of like that feeling of being in the moment, feeling alive.
Don't know. It depends what I'm singing.
Okay.
I can sing and be thinking about a million other things. If I'm doing like a standard kind of bar or restaurant gig where I've still got to perform, but I know the songs or I know the repertoire, so it kind of just almost autopilot.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't give a good performance, but it just means that my mind can be really. If I'm doing my own stuff, I definitely am more present.
Yeah.
And I think, it's a strange one. Like, I don't really use singing as like a meditative state thing. It feels like more of a purpose and something that's just like completely part of myself and who I am as a person. But like, I live with like my housemate. Her name's Hannah Knowles. She's an amazing singer. She's like she has guitar and she's really sweet, soulful, folky voice and anyway, she sings a lot in the house. As a kind of just like a lovely meditative practice when she's feeling down or when she's feeling up or whatever. And I'm like, I don't do that. And I'm like, why don't I do that? Because I've changed it into my work, and I'm like, have I messed it up for myself a little bit? But I don't think I have. I think I just need to open myself to more opportunities to use singing in that way, because it is actually, I take it for granted. People just assume that like because I can sing that I must like do those kind of things, but actually I don't, and I probably should do. So yeah.
I think it's one of them as well. But if you're filling your time with that thing, like the next thing you don't want to go and do that to like relax. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want to go out with my camera and take like pictures of things or to go and chill out. Do you know what I mean?
Even though you could, but
I could, but you just want to. You need a bit of a break, don't you?
There's so many other things, aren't there, that we should do.
Yeah, totally.
But I do appreciate that.
Are you still doing your bits of like painting and stuff?
I haven't done any for 4 months.
Oh, right.
But like I was definitely doing it still regularly during lockdown. Like, and I did it for about for the first, I don't know, 6 to 8 months. I used to have my friends around like once a week, every couple of weeks or whatever, and we'd just paint for fun, abstract painting, call it Paint Club. And obviously Paint Club died when lockdown happened because we weren't allowed to have people around. But then it was one of my ways of just kind of like, defocusing and becoming more in the moment. And actually I realised how much I loved it, because it's like completely abstract stuff that I wasn't really one to draw. Even though I've done a few paintings now of things like birds. And probably like, key stage 3 level or something, like by no means intricate or amazing. But it was definitely a thing that I did every Monday or every couple of Mondays after a busy weekend to wind down, put music on and just not even look at my phone and it was great. And it's actually that's a habit that I want to pick back up again, definitely. The last time I painted actually I went to Glossop in March. I took my paints out to Reservoir and painted the views. That was very nice. That was very fun. Cool. But it's been a few months now.
Yeah.
March, and then everything started opening again. Got to try and get these lockdown habits back into my day-to-day life.
That's it.
That's it. I feel like I'm letting stuff drop. Honestly. I want to still do that. Like I realised the other day, like because we live like right near a park, like Alexandra Park. It's like literally like 5-minute walk. Used to go there every day, and I realised it was like I've not been to that park in a month.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
You think like surely you could have at some point?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, just for some
Exactly.
thinking space for me to edit or something.
Yeah. That's the saying that the stupid chimp brain comes back in. It's like, no, you can't go to the park. Like,
literally,
10
man.
minutes in the park? Like, you don't have time for that. You've got to be straight.
Literally, man.
Yeah.
This guy is a pain in the ass sometimes, man.
Yeah. But that thing got us this far. So it's not, it's good. As
You're
long
doing
as you,
good stuff with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as you just give yourself a break from it every now and again.
Yeah, that's it, man.
And it's like, is 10 minutes in the park, surely that's going to help. Exactly. Surely that's going to help every aspect of your life. 10 minutes, man. You can, you waste that time like on your phone every day without even knowing it. Like most people will do. Like not necessarily even like probably just on autopilot, kind of not necessarily interested in what they're looking at. So just take that time. And
man.
Yeah,
it's got to do that shit, haven't you?
You do.
Yes. Cool. I think we'll park it
Nature.
there.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.
Nature.
Lovely.
Everyone go and do some nature things.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Make themselves feel good. Nice note to end on.
Yeah. So I've got one more question for you, Yemi. One more. Super. Don't think about it too much. Just say whatever comes to your mind.
Literally, the first 3 words.
Yeah. So if you could sum this podcast up in 3 words, what would it be?
A right laugh.
All right. Wow. That was so quick. Awesome.
Yeah,
that's
I've
good.
definitely laughed and smiled loads over the last hour or so.
That's
Thank
been
you
fun.
thank you for entertaining me.
Yeah, it's all right. Matthew?
I'll say channeling spiritual vibes. Which you seem to do all the time. Sorry.
I'll go really bloody interesting, is what I would say.
There we go.
Yeah, learned a lot. It's been
Two describing words.
really bloody interesting. So, Yemi, for the people at home, it's this camera too. Do you want to tell them where they can find your stuff and all that online?
Yeah, so basically, I don't think there are that many Yemi Bolatiwa. So if you like, look at me on Spotify, you probably find the tunes that I'm on. Instagram, Yemi Bolatiwa Soul Singer, and Facebook as well. Not really on Twitter, but if you fancy having a look, there are probably some posts up there as well. And yeah, I post about everything that I'm doing all the time on Instagram. So just check me out there. You don't have to follow me. You can even just go on my page, have a little stalk. You don't have to follow me, but if you do, thanks.
That was a great plug, Yemi. That was a great plug. Yeah, thank you very much for listening. If you're on the audio podcast, I hope you enjoyed Yemi's music. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube because Yemi's session is going to be coming out on Friday. Next week we have Amber Prothero.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say her name.
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
Yeah, great singer. So come check us out next week. Next Wednesday we're doing the stream. I think that's kind of it, to be honest. So we'll park
Thanks,
it there.
lads.
Thank you very much, Yemi. It's been good fun. Yeah, we'll see you all next week. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to catch up on new episodes every week. Also, check us out on our Facebook and Instagram at Rec Rooms, where you can find out about our other exciting music series. We also have this and all our other episodes of the podcast up on our Rec Rooms YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. See you next time.